So I put up a story post on my Instagram. It was a questionnaire, and it basically said, ask me anything about the sport of MMA, and I will answer it. So that's what I'm here to do in this video. I, Tony Has Died, will be answering your MMA questions, and let's get straight into it. Who is your favorite champion right now? If I had to say who my favorites were, it's definitely Volk, Ilya, and Islam are my favorite champions that are current champions right now. Not a big fan of Merab. Dricus, he's all right. Aspinall, he's a good champion, but there's people in that division I like more. Ankalaev, I don't like him. So who is my favorite out of those three? I'd probably have to go with Islam Makhachev, but I think he's going to beat JDM. I think it will be a pretty good fight. The next one is, what's the most insane pick that you got right? Now, just off the top of my head, I remember I picked Cannonier to beat Brunson. I'm pretty sure Brunson was a 3-1 favorite in that fight. I also picked Dan Hooker to beat Gamrot. I picked Moicano to defeat Benoit Saint-Denis. I did pick Dricus to beat Sean Strickland. Did pick Buckley to beat Luque. But yeah, those are the best underdog picks that I got right. This one says, if Conor McGregor stayed at welterweight after his win over Cowboy, how do you think he would have fared? That's a good question. So who was at the top of that division when he beat Cowboy? I think it was like the Usman, Masvidal kind of era, huh? Colby, Masvidal, Burns, and some other people. Now, here's the thing. I do think that Conor could defeat Jorge Masvidal at 170 pounds. I don't think that's that crazy of a take, considering that the best people, like the people that Conor lost to after he was washed, were people that were pretty good, like Khabib and Dustin. But, I mean, Nate Diaz did pretty good against Conor in his prime as well. So you could just say that Masvidal is a lot bigger than Conor and would just destroy him because he's a lot bigger than him. But I think skill for skill, I think Conor's good enough to hang with him. So I think if Conor stayed at welterweight, then he could beat someone like Masvidal, but I don't know if he beats someone like Burns, like Prime Burns or Prime Colby or Prime Usman. I think those guys would just be a lot too bigger than him. This one says Jones versus GSP pound for pound, who wins? I think Jones got it, man. I think GSP, I think he's kind of dropping down the GOAT rankings a little bit. I think he's about maybe like the third or fourth best fighter right now. You got to put Volk above him, and I think you got to put Islam above him as well at this point. So yeah, I think I would go Jones is better than GSP right now, because I think Jones is still the GOAT of the sport. This one says, out of all the top 15 fighters in all the divisions, who do you think will become a champ in the next 2 to 5 years? At flyweight, I think Joshua Van will definitely be champion in the next 2 to 5 years. At bantamweight, I think Umar will be champion. At featherweight, I think Gene Silva will be. At lightweight, I think Arman will probably be champ, or I think Ilya, depending on who Ilya fights and if he stays, I think Ilya will probably still be the champion unless he leaves, and then it will be Arman. For welterweight, I think JDM will be champion after Islam retires, or Shavkat could be in the position to get that fight. Really just depends on how good Shavkat is and if he can beat whoever he gets in his comeback fight. For middleweight, I think that Imavov will probably be the next champion. Well, Chimaev will be the champion, and I don't think that Imavov will beat him, but I think that Chimaev has double championship status in mind. I think Chimaev will probably leave the division at some point. Imavov will take it, but if he doesn't, then Chimaev's got it. And then for heavyweight, Tom Aspinall. Nobody beats Tom Aspinall that we've seen in the UFC. So why do you keep ignoring my questions about Jan Blachowicz? Bro, I have no idea what you're talking about. Since that is, what do you think about Tom versus Alex in heavyweight? You see people like Curtis Blades and you see people like Pavlovich, and they've been able to hit Tom Aspinall, but I'm going to be completely honest, I think Pavlovich has more power than Pereira, and if he can't put Tom Aspinall out in their first exchange, I really doubt that Pereira will be able to. And I think that Tom Aspinall will just take Pereira down and just strangle him, bro, if we're being completely honest. So I think that Alex has a hitter's chance. Out of all the people that fight Tom Aspinall, I think he has probably the best hitter chance. But yeah, I'd pick Tom in that fight. Are you goon to Verna Jandiroba? W English, bro. Which fighters are on a watch list? Bryce Mitchell, definitely on a watch list. O'Ben Elliott, watch list. I think just anyone that associates with gurus automatically on a watch list. Strickland, definitely on a watch list. Chimaev, I think he's got ties to the terrorists. Khabib and all of them, they also have ties to terrorists. Yeah, man. Khalil Roundtree, he's in a cult. Put him on the watch list. John Jones, menace to society. Watch list. Alright, that's who I think are on watch lists. Which of the fighting nerds do you think will be champion? I think Gene Silva will be champion. And I think we have to see what Ruffy's potential is. And I think he could be champion. But we haven't really seen if he can grapple or like last 5 rounds yet. But I think Gene Silva is good enough to do it. This one says, do you think Balkan should be looked into more to sign more fighters from there? It just depends on how good they are, bro. Like, it's not about like what country you're from or what race you are or whatever. It's, are you good enough to hang in the UFC? So if there's fighters that are from the Balkans that are good, then yeah, sign them. But if there's not, then fuck them, you know? Brady versus Usman for #1 contender at welterweight. I think you have to do Usman versus Bilal. And I think you should do Shavkat versus Brady, and then Gary versus Buckley. I think those are the matchups you need to make at welterweight. This one says, how far do you think Alexandre Paporia will make it in the UFC? I think that Alexandre, he looked a little sketch in the beginning of his career, but if we really think about it, bantamweight is a little overrated when it comes to how deep that division is. I think that he could have a competitive fight with someone like Ricky Simone. I do think that someone like Ricky Simone would beat him, but maybe like the Peyton Talbots of the division, or maybe I think he could beat someone like Ronnie Barcelos, but do I think he could go much higher than that? I'm not sure. We have to see more from him. Next one goes, how bad is the skill pool in the light heavyweight division? I think it's slowly starting to get a little bit better, but it's still pretty bad. Like, it's not as bad as heavyweight, but it's still pretty mid. Like, Khalil Roundtree is ranked. Jamal Hill is a former champ, you know? Like, it's nothing too crazy. This one says, make a petition to fire Dana White. I already did, bro. I already made the petition. This one says, do you see Volk staying champion for long? I think that he beats Yair and he beats Movzar, but I think he'll end up losing to Gene Silva because I think the age will finally catch up to him 100%. Which fight would be harder for Dricus, Hamzat or Mavov? Hamzat for sure, bro. I'm going to pick Hamzat to win. This one says, would you rather get a lap dance from Aylin Perez or eat out Tracy Cortez? I'm blocking you, bro. You're getting fucking blocked, all right? That is the most out-of-pocket fucking question I've ever been asked. You're not seeing the fucking light of day. You're fucking banished from Tony Has Died, bro. Get the fuck off my page and don't comment shit like that. Okay? Just kidding. I love you. All right. This one says, how does Azamat stack up to the rest of light heavyweight division? I think he would beat someone like Khalil Roundtree. Mean Gang Zhang might be a little too big for him. He's got a weird physique, so I think someone that's like a really big light heavyweight could give him some trouble. And people with really good skill like Pereira and Goliath. Oldberg, I think Oldberg probably beats him. Blachowicz probably beats him. But I think he does good against a lot of the people at the division. This next one says, which championship belt will change hands the most in the next few years? That's also a really good question, bro. You're good at asking this dude. Shout out Zach Edelbaum, bro. Zach Edelbaum. You're asking the real questions today, and you're the hero of this video. What championship belt? Oh, I think flyweight, man. Because Pantoja, he's about to turn 36. He'll lose to Joshua Van. And after that, I think it's just going to be straight chaos at flyweight because you got so many people at the top that are just right there. This one says, which UFC fighter would make a good anime villain? Tell me you couldn't see like Davison Figueiredo being like a one-piece villain. Like, tell me you can't see him like just terrorizing the fucking pirates, bro. This one says, how far do you see Wellmaker going? I think he'll get ranked because I think the UFC is going to give him favorable matchups, but I think he'll probably lose to someone in the top 10. Like, I think he'll lose to Mario Batista. I think he would lose to Umar, Sandhagen, O'Malley, Marab. He beats someone like Cheeto Vera, in my opinion, pretty easily. So I think he can get ranked, but I don't think he's going to be top 10. How does Waldo Cortez Acosta stack up against the rest of the heavyweight division? I think Waldo is going to be the new Martian Tybura. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to be the gatekeeper of the division, but he'll never be top 5. Like, he's already matched up against Pavlovich. He's going to get fucking knocked the fuck out by Pavlovich. He's going to get destroyed by Pavlovich, bro. Favorite unks in the UFC, Michael Johnson. Gotta go Michael Johnson. Gotta go Jim Miller, you know. they should end up fighting each other, to be completely honest. Davis and Figueiredo's kind of an unk. I give it to him. Luke, he's a good unk, you know. I'm just kidding. Usman, he's pretty good. Which UFC fighter has the best potential to become triple champ? Now, if you asked me this question a few years ago, I would have said Khamzat Chimaev, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, but I just don't see him ever going back to light heavyweight. Now, I think Pereira probably has a really good chance as well. He was already middleweight, he was already light heavyweight, and a fight at heavyweight is not out of the possibility for Pereira. I don't really ever think there will be a triple champ in the UFC, just because of how spread out the weight classes are. This one says, is there a way Yuri beats Alex? I think Alex beats Yuri like 7 out of 10 times. I think like 3 out of 10 times Yuri wins. Why are you hating on Roundtree? He's in a cult and he's a steroid cheat. Will we ever see RDR versus DDP? Yes, we will, because I think that RDR is going to beat Robert Whittaker, and I think DDP will lose to Chimaev, and he hasn't done enough to get his automatic rematch. So I think that they will make that fight once that happens. Those are the questions you asked me. Thank you guys so much for asking. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, do all that YouTube shit. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.